Hello and welcome to the All About X-Men Comics podcast, where you'll find recaps and review of all the most recent X-Men comics, as well as previews for upcoming issues. Please keep in mind this does mean spoilers, and watch your step as this podcast is laced with, shall I say, more colorful metaphors.
Double dumbass on you, and so forth.
I'm host Scorpio Moon, the former Labs fan who's proving every day that you can go home again, and hosting with me is...
Johnny Alpha, always last to be picked at dodgeball at the Professor Xavier School.
Alright, well you were first to be picked for this podcast, man. Now let's dive right into it. X-Men number 6 is Chapter 7 of Battle of the Atom, where it almost completely switches tracks, or gears. I mean, after 6 issues of writing together, Wolverine finally decides he doesn't trust the future X-Men he's been hanging with. This is where the time between comic books can kind of hurt you, because it wouldn't seem as off, I guess, if you read them all in a row in a night, instead of over the months. But after that, all it really takes is a second for everything to break down, and this is where it really just switches gears and, just goes straight action. Xavier's grandson totally loses his temper when he finds out future Hank and Bobby aren't around, and pretty much exposes himself right as Rachel finally sneaks into their minds. It would seem pretty foolish to snap and blow your whole cover over one little temper tantrum, but knowing that X-Men have been to his future now, I suppose he knows his cover is blown anyway, and he knows that they're on the way. So he takes out his frustration on poor Bling, and it all really pops off when so-called future Kitty Pryde shapeshifts back into his true form, the son of Mystique and Wolverine, and gleefully stabs Wolverine in the gut. Damn, does Wolverine ever have a kid who likes him?
No, I mean, like, he must be like a shit dad. He never plays catch, and you know what I mean? And like you pointed out, all of a sudden, like, when it's just too damn late, it's like you're already, like, mid-stroke, you're halfway to your nut, and you remember that, like, maybe I should have put on a condom before, like, getting involved with this girl. It's how I felt with Wolverine with this. It's just like, now you want to be like, hey, these guys aren't shooting straight dice. He's really lost his hunter's edge and at this point, if you ask me. Like I said, I kind of don't feel bad for the Jean Grey School, whatever happens to them at this point, because they really did just fall for anything at this point.
Should have put a condom on. I promise you all colorful metaphors. Yeah. Yeah, Wolverine really was like the last dude to jump on that. Magneto and everyone else kind of took their turn saying, I don't know if they're quite what they seem. And I mean, maybe Wolverine had his suspicions, but he was kind of the last one to really bring it up and then finally give Rachel permission to go inside their heads, which she probably should have just done anyway. But the long and short of it is that from here, the evil X-Men Brotherhood of the Future take over the school, take the original 3 X-Men that are there captive, and as the issue ends, Scott and his uncanny team show up with the real future X-Men. Now, we've been waiting for this for a long time, so maybe we should break this fight down a little bit more. So Xavier mind blasts Bling, and when Wolverine tries to interfere, he gets stabbed by his son. Storm, Beast, Kitty, and the original team all get knocked out by Zorn Jean with the psychic EMP. Jubilee goes after Xavier all fangs out. I love that. But both she and Rogue get tossed aside by Feral Iceman. Psylocke gets a nice shot on Ice Monster, and Rachel goes after Xavier, but gets blindsided by Molly. Psylocke goes sword to sword with a love-struck Deadpool, giving him a nice knockout kick, and Xavier mentally clocks Krakoa while everyone else is stuck in lockdown. Now, Psylocke was still standing and about to engage Mystique-Irene, but then later emerges from the rubble.
Yeah, so her suit's a little tore, and she's got, like, a cut on her shoulder. So, I mean, like, she had a good fight, you can tell. But, like you said, she's still standing, so all you did is really just piss her off. And you do not piss off a Psychic Ninja, especially an Omega Level 1 like Psylocke.
Yeah, don't expect that to end well. And also, in the last big reveal, that Iron Man suit-looking wearing guy, his codename is Sentinel X, and it's Jubilee's son, Shogo.
Yeah, and that was pretty a cute little thing. Like, I'd always love you, Mom. I'd recognize your voice anywhere. It's just kind of like, it was weird, but, like, put a nice little bow on this issue, and it kind of showed you that, like we were saying, like, from the get-go, that these, actual good future X-Men actually are children of and or grown-up versions of the young X-Men that are running around now, which I kind of find cool that they're incorporating these guys into it instead of just making new guys up all the time like they used to.
Yeah, man. Now some nitpicks here. So Wolverine is killable in this too?
Yeah, where did that come from, though? I'm with you. All of a sudden, like, it seems like he's been running around doing his normal Wolverine shit, and now it's tied in with the actual that crappy Wolverine comic we had to read this month as well. I didn't dig that actual aspect of this issue either. It was kind of just left field and just kind of like, what?
Yeah, since when was that franchise wide? And are all Wolverine's kids just stupid? I mean, how do they talk Mystique Green into stabbing Wolverine in the gut, potentially killing his own father? I mean, he even comments on, like, hey, look, I didn't disappear. I guess he's not dead.
Right? But, yeah, I mean, like, if you didn't think Dakin was stupid enough, this new son is just, like, way over the top with it.
Yeah, he's going to give him a run for his money. And, maybe it's just the Wolverine fanboy in me, but I hate when Wolverine is about to get riled up for some real ultra-violence and then gets immediately punked with a cheap shot and you don't get it, especially in a scene like this where his anger is portrayed visually so well.
That's going to be the point of this event from here on out. This is going to be Wolverine spanking. The hero of this is going to emerge, Scott Summers. End of story. The actual Xavier School is going to come and bail out the Jean Grey School with the good X-Men from the future. They're going to ride in on their white horse and be the heroes in this, and old Wolverine's going to actually have to suck up and actually thank Scott Summers again. You know, that's basically how this thing's going to shape up. At least that's the only outcome I can see at this point.
Okay, so X-Men number 6, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up, man. Dude, it is what we've been waiting for. This is, like you said, we're finally at the meat of the situation. It's coming down. You got a couple issues left to go, man, and it's really just going to be a hardcore battle, and it's going to be an ironic one, which is great because I love when the X-Men are ironic. So, yeah, thumbs up. You could get this issue, or if you haven't been reading it from the get-go, go ahead and just wait for the hardbound that's going to be out in a month or two. It's going to be badass, so.
All right, and I'm going to go thumbs up for the pacing and clear action. You always know who's punching who. It's not a random fight. Every panel is purposeful. And buy it for the best battle in Battle of the Atom so far.
I agree.
Okay, moving right along, we have Ultimate Comics X-Men number 32. So Jean's plan didn't really go anywhere. They got a few clips that will look nice on the news, but instead of massacring her people to start a war, Crazy Feral Jimmy was more just on the run than anything else. Then after getting shit-kicked, he's drugged right back to Jean to be killed. Meanwhile, Storm fights a very cool but also kind of funny battle in the sky, apologizing for collateral damage. I mean, that always amuses me. Kitty sells the idea of mutant segregation here. We touched on this a bit with the last issue of Uncanny Avengers, but here Kitty describes a place built by the skills, enthusiasm, and love of all the mutants there, ever changing and reflecting its population, which is what her utopia is, or could be, if they can continue to live there, if it survives, and if they survive. Now, the issue actually began with Kitty taking what she acknowledged to be possibly her last look at Utopia. She leaves to go and try to talk things out with Jean, but has also left instructions to bomb Jean's land in 2 hours, even if Kitty herself is still there. So what exactly is her hope? How does she expect it to turn out? I guess that's what you have to wait to see.
Right, and I mean, it just is such a build-up. I mean, it's just so iconic what they're doing with this series, and I love Battle Atom. It's cool, but this event puts Battle of the Atom on the back burner for me. Like you said, Jimmy, he went to town okay, but yeah, he got knocked silly by some guy they call the Goblin or something like that. That was kind of a little silly part, but I really like that TN is actually turning on Jean because she is just so batshit crazy. And I gotta say, I love what these new writers are doing with her character because I was so sick and tired of that whole Vestal Virgin, Mother Teresa with red hair and psychic powers version of Jean Grey that we had for so long. I'm glad that this version of her in Battle of the Atom is selfish and only cares about herself. And I love that the Ultimates Jean Grey is batshit crazy and wants to have a civil war between mutants just because she thinks her side, her land is prettier than Utopia. It's iconic to me.
Yeah, man, it definitely really gets you that idea of the evil version of Jean Grey. It feels like the the Star Trek episode, kind of like if she was a man, you know, she'd have a mustache to show that she was evil. Like, it's so different from, like, what you normally expect from Jean Grey. I mean, even though Jean Grey, I mean, she's got a bit of a messed up history. I mean, as the Phoenix, you know, the Phoenix has done some horrible things. But yeah, this Jean Grey is putting them to shame, at least by the intensity of what she does and, you know, the meaning and the evil and the purpose behind it.
Right? I mean, I really can't wait to see how this is going to turn out, and if anything from the cover for next issue is going to go, it looks like Tien gets bombed to shit. You see, like, the Palace of Tien, like, in ruins. It's just really, really a stoic image, which looks like Utopia is going to come out victorious. But the last words that Colossus tells, I think it was Hisako, about her not probably ever being able to come back to Utopia, that she's going to be a pariah and a war criminal. That's so very Brian Wood. He's bleeding DMZ into the X-Men, and I fucking love him for it. That is incredible.
She's making a big sacrifice here. It was very, it's kind of martyrish.
She's taken one for the team. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Dude, she believes in Utopia so much that she doesn't even feel that she needs to be a part of it. She just wants to make sure it survives. She doesn't care about herself at this point.
And I don't know why I'm making this comparison, but I think that's kind of the difference between her and, say, Magneto. Because Magneto is willing to kill for his, you know, his philosophy, his vision, but he's not willing to die for it.
Right? Yeah, I mean, he's willing to kill other people and stuff, but definitely not himself.
And how beautiful was Pixie in this issue?
Yeah, they really did go out of their way to just, like, I don't know, really make her adorable. You know what I mean? Like, they missed that in the actual 616 comic, so it's kind of cool to see them really tackle that in this and actually make her, I don't know, hot, I guess is the word to put it.
I'd kind of go more with pretty, I think. But I mean, like, even just the description of her powers, you know, from her point of view, was just, like, just really ethereal, just really nice. I really enjoyed that. But do you want to go thumbs up or thumbs down and buy it or skip it?
Thumbs up, thumbs way up. Buy this comic. Keep this comic alive. I have a bad feeling that they're doing this epic storyline because it's coming to an end because people don't read Ultimates. And if that happens, man, I'm going to go Phoenix on somebody. You know what I mean? Keep this book going. Buy it.
Yeah, that would suck, man. I hope you're wrong, but it does kind of make sense that they try and go out with a bang. I've got to go thumbs down just because I was expecting more. But I will say buy it. I didn't dislike it in any other way that would make me recommend avoiding it. And now we're going to move on to Uncanny X-Force number 12. In this issue, we find out how Spiral knows who and where the Revenant Queen is. She's been tracking down a missing girl, one of the only people to show her any kindness, because even the most cold-hearted people have at least one human connection. And along the way, we get great characterization of Spiral. I mean, she can barely tolerate other people. Her first instinct is to treat everyone as a threat. She has a very itchy trigger finger, or sword finger, I guess you would say, and she barely knows how to interact with people. Like, she has to remind herself to, you know, make eye contact, ask questions. Just simple human interaction is more of a process than an instinct for her. So the worry here, though, is that this missing girl, Ginny, has been abducted by a cult and forced to use her mutant power to sway people into it, which is partially true, but she's actually been abducted body and soul, as her body is being inhabited and used by an evil source, and the big reveal here is that the evil source is none other than Cassandra Nova, the evil twin of Xavier that he defeated at birth, or technically before birth. It is also revealed that the Revenants are actually Mumadrai, just like her. Now, I think this is a perfect villain for this Uncanny X-Force. It's very fitting, so big points there. But as an aside, Cassandra Nova has always made me feel a bit queasy. I felt like she played into that long span of time where the name of the game was Dirty Up Xavier. I didn't really care for how they started retconning everything to make the great mutant leader more of a gray area. Whether it was adding a whole team of killed-in-action X-Men that also included a long-lost Third Summers brother, admitting that he brought Wolverine on the team just because he wanted a killer to protect them, and even considered Sabretooth first, enslaving the newly sentient Danger Room, or with Cassandra killing his twin sister in the womb, even though she technically was evil. It seemed like they took a slight character trait, you know, being a little manipulative, and just blew it out of proportion, you know, because Onslaught was popular or something, I don't know.
I don't know if it had anything to do with the Onslaught because I hated that as much as you. But all the other stuff that you brought up, like Deadly Genesis, and definitely a lot of the stuff that Grant Morrison did during the new X-Men run and stuff, dude, I'm glad that they got Professor Xavier out of the way, because if they still had him as the stoic leader in his golden floating wheelchair as the golden god, X-Men would not have evolved, and we would not have these stories that we're having now. It'd be the same shit. Magneto and Xavier fighting each other for the rest of time, and dude, I'm so glad that we fucking moved beyond that. So I don't share your aggression with this, and I thought that Cassandra Nova was a neat addition to this. I liked it because it keeps this almost as like a weird sci-fi version of X books that only somebody like Sam Humphries can write. I mean, he's almost really brought his Boom Studios style, and he's almost made a Boom Studios X book out of this, and I love him for it. And I thought this issue was really awesome, personally.
I guess the point I wanted to make with Onslaught was just that, like, maybe because, like, I guess that sold well or something was popular, so maybe, like, okay, people like evil Xavier, let's, dirty him up a bit more. I mean, I agree with you that, taking Xavier out of the picture has been good for the X-Men franchise on a whole, but I don't know if that had to involve his death, because you know how death always plays out, and I just don't get why they have to drag his name through the mud before they did it.
I think that they tested the waters with his death several times. I mean, he's died like 3 times in the past decade. And they just killed him before, not too long ago, in Messiah Complex, but like he was able to get his head put back together by Exodus, and like him and Gambit went through the whole journey during X-Men Legacy, and he got put back together, and he came back, and he was part of Utopia, and he was trying to be the good guy and earn people's trust again. And I think that his final ultimate death was a fitting one, and he was good. He was what made X-Men cool for a while, but he's not needed ultimately. And really, I think that what they had to do by making him so dirty is what they needed to do to get Scott to flip the way he's done. Otherwise, this whole flip and this whole great thing that we have with this Scott Summers nobody can trust would be possible if Professor X was still this stoic, bald angel of goodness that we've always thought he was until, recent times.
Okay, so what you're saying is that for Scott to make this change, he had to see his mentor fall from grace. It couldn't just be
exactly.
it couldn't just be that Scott, has this change or sees this other point of view, but he has to be disenfranchised with the idea as a motivating factor for his character.
Well, they could pull it off, but it wouldn't make as much sense. It wouldn't be as cool, and it wouldn't be as poignant. It would just be crappy writing of them trying to flip Scott Summers into a villain out of nowhere. But if they do it like this, it's actually quite interesting, and it laid groundwork that took thought and effort and actually makes sense instead of just some crappy Rob Liefeld storyline that they would have pulled in the 90s with, Scott just deciding he wants to be bad because, Magneto said something that, finally clicked in his brain, I mean, that wouldn't have worked for me. This does. Professor X being a skis, that works for making me believe that Scott Summers would flip the way he has.
All right, you've given me something to think about. Boy, I mean, that's why I love doing this. So thumbs up or thumbs down, buy it or skip it.
Thumbs up, man. Really, I had a ball with this issue. I really liked the art style in it. Like you said, it was a really neat look into Spiral, somebody that we've seen them fight, but we've never actually got inside of her head before. And I really like the thought of her actually being an addition to this team from here on out. So, thumbs up. And yeah, check it out. This will be a good jump-on point for new readers. So buy it, and if you like it, go get the first trade paperback. It'll explain the backup for this, and, have a ball. Uncanny X-Force is a great book.
I'm going to go thumbs up for action and for characterization. And I'm going to go buy it. For a flashback book in the middle of an arc, it's a surprisingly satisfying single issue. And that brings us to Wolverine number 10. There aren't many things that Wolverine loves more than walking into a trap, even if he has to ride in with a helmet on, because without his accelerated healing factor, he's now killable, as the title beats us over the head with. Suggests. Wolverine's enemies... Wolverine's enemies stole a sword to lure him out of the school, and despite being the face of a franchise, he has to go and take care of this on his own, with only the help of a Kitty Pryde who won't take no for an answer. She's already scared off 2 villains just on the merits of her being there, as she wasn't expected to be, and when Wolverine crashes his bike, she manages to leap over and face him to avoid more serious injury. This happens when they're ambushed by Fiber, the acupuncture villain, in what was probably one of the shortest, silliest, and most pointless 2-page appearances any character has ever made.
Right. Pathetic.
Well, okay, maybe it wasn't pointless. Maybe I was just making an acupuncture pun. I'm sure the real... I'm sure the real ultra important reason he was there was to give Wolverine a nice rejuvenating acupuncture massage, complete with happy ending, but he got stage fright in front of Kitty. The trap for Wolverine has been set in a museum that's part of a complex built over the location of his childhood home. And as they go through the old, clear out the civilians routine, the trap is slowly being sprung, while in our alternate sequence, S.H.I.E.L.D. discovers the alien virus showing up Wolverine's powers is spreading worldwide as a precursor to invasion. Some nitpicks and notes here. Shouldn't the acupuncture villain be able to do a lot more against Wolverine? I mean, we know he's vulnerable to pressure points, so that should be a bigger issue.
Yeah, and I mean, like, the whole thing that they took away from that is he was put here to make sure that I remember that I'm hurt. It's like, dude, you're wearing a motorcycle helmet. Even Kitty Pryde admitted when you were wearing a motorcycle helmet. Did we really need to have probably one of the lamest ex-villains ever that I've never heard of? And I don't ever want to hear from again. Fibers show up and, like, poke him with a few needles until Kitty Pryde sneaks up behind him. He could do acupuncture shit with needles, like, and now he can teleport too. I mean, it was just so, like you said, pointless. And this issue, nitpicks and points aside, it was garbage, man. It was, let's shove as much Wolverine shit that we can into one issue and try to keep this interesting for people that just watched the movie.
Are you sure it isn't time for a colorful metaphor?
Some other points. Logan kind of grins when he realizes his old home was paved over to make this town or shopping district or whatever. I mean, if he's feeling any emotion over it, he won't let his face betray him. But Kitty looks downright horrified for him. It's a really haunting expression. And this was a big thing for me here, too. I mean, I knew from the previews the idea was to revisit his past. And like we discussed previously, that always makes me nervous. Because I'm not a huge fan of his updated, revealed origin. But those solicits were kind of a misdirection. And I kind of smirked, too, when after all my worry, all we really got was a picture of it hanging inside the museum.
Right? Yeah, him and the redheaded girl. I'm like, well, what happened to her? Well, I accidentally killed her, Kitty. It's like, really? That's all you can put down for that Wolverine? Like, this issue was just so uneventful, and honestly, and it was poorly written. Every place else around them is hit by the technovirus. Everything's shut down, except for the neat little complex that's built over his old house. Really? I mean, how do you explain that? That makes about as much sense as the acupuncture guy that can just disappear whenever he wants to.
Well, truth be told, man, I mean, I actually almost kind of liked it. I mean, I liked that they were smart enough to include Wolverine wearing a helmet for the Killable arc. Like they did something with it to show that, it's in his head, it's on his mind. And the characterization for everybody in it was more or less, pretty spot on. I enjoyed the sequence where they're going through the museum and they're arguing with the cops, and Wolverine has his Avengers ID, and there's some pretty decent arc, like when Wolverine makes that scary face in the dark, I told you so, or something like that. I think the stuff in it was kind of pretty good, but it's just the fact that the whole arc just sucks that makes me not care.
The only thing that I really like about this so far is that his claws coming out hurts him so bad he doesn't do it, and he has to actually keep his hands bandaged up from the actual wounds where the claws come out. I find that the only kind of really interesting and redeeming thing about this whole issue.
I find it kind of funny that you like that, because I just see that as like an old burned out Wolverine trope. Like every time he's like lost his metal or lost his healing factor, they always have him with the bandaged up hands. That really makes that much of a difference. He'd still be hemorrhaging blood from popping his claws. They put some bandages on it, so it's cool.
They're made by Mr. Fantastic. Remember, he's an Avenger now, so he gets all that awesome stuff that works. Not that normal fucking medical HMO stuff that normal people get.
Yeah, sure. If we got one reference to that whatsoever in the issue, I guess that would work.
And the name of the game is Overkill here. Did they need all of those villains to show up at the end of the book to take him on? Next issue, he's going to get all of his powers back at the last minute and take them all down. And it's just, who gives a fuck?
That kind of leads me into my next point. Why is Killable an arc in the Wolverine book? This feels like something that should be bigger. Like Wolverine being killable and having a bounty on his head, that should threaten the whole school. And maybe that's part of why he left, but it feels to me like something that should be, tell me if I'm being stupid here, but something that should be a crossover event. Like Battle of the Atom or AVX. Especially when its effects are supposedly carrying over into other books. I mean, am I just being a Wolverine fanboy, or am I right to think that something like this should be much, much bigger?
Oh no, you're not being stupid. The actual comic book is stupid, bro. I mean, you're making sense here.
Alright, thanks for that, man. So, let's go thumbs up or thumbs down, buy it or skip it.
I think at this point with me it's rhetorical to ask, but yeah, thumbs down, skip it. This is just the worst thing that, besides Wolverine Max, that has a Wolverine's name on it at this moment.
I'm actually gonna go thumbs up, man, because it surprised me. I thought it was gonna be all about revisiting his past, and then we get there and it's gone. I mean, that surprised me, and I enjoy that. But I'm definitely gonna go with skip it, man. It doesn't have anything enough for me to recommend it here. I mean, the more I think about it, I guess for what they're trying to do, I mean, if you base the merit on what they want out of this, I guess it's a good installment, issue-wise, but I don't think you're missing anything if you didn't read this. And that leads us into Astonishing X-Men number 68, The Last One. So the touchy-feely X-Men comic sitcom comes to an end. Warbird is about to leave after Wolverine shows sympathy to a monster and stops her from killing Dark Beast. Warbird, by the way, I love these non-human acting characters. So machine-like and calculating. You know, she's angry about being chided for being a warrior by Wolverine, of all people, and decides to abandon her art, even though she's good at it, because she's logically deduced it's just not worth it. But as she narrates this issue, she learns once and for all that she can be more and the struggle is worth it. So she was about to get on the plane and leave, but she gets off the plane, so to speak. Meanwhile, Northstar is facing deportation and being torn from his husband. You almost question what a big deal it is, because, I mean, since when do superheroes really play by silly rules like international boundaries anyway? But remember, it's more about their right to be together. It's about the meaning and the feeling. And by turning to Iceman in his time of need, they're both rescued from their emotional strife. I also love Northstar compelling Bobby to take joy in the ability to fly. I mean, okay, maybe Iceman doesn't totally fly, necessarily, but his Ice Luge thing is a really freeing movement. You know, it's all about reveling in that freedom. And, you know, what could be more liberating and joyous than flying in any way? You know, it looks so epic to do. And throughout this issue, the characters, they commiserate together, they celebrate together, and they're a family together. Family, of course, being one of the single most defining traits of the X-Men. Last week on the podcast, I promised you that if anything else, the series finale would stay true to what the book was, and through, it did.
Right. I mean, exactly. It was very well done. I loved the moody art for this book. It really lended to like this specific issue with the emotions and the things going through it. And I really liked with Northstar that it really killed the tropes that like gay men are very thoughtful and just very compassionate people. He kind of was teasing She-Hulk of all people. You bet your green radioactive ass we will, which I found really funny. It was a nice little thing outside of the courthouse. That really cracked me up. And yeah, the whole thing about Iceman and him telling him, dude, you got to get out there, but they don't like me out there. Well, dude, you got to make them like you again because that's what you got to do. Otherwise, move, you know? It had great feeling, great moving parts to it, and really, I mean, it transcended being a Friends episode, and, like, dude, I really got the feeling, it felt like the end of a John Hughes movie to me, man. Like, I really, like, at the end when they're at the pizza parlor and they're all having their beer and their milk and stuff like that, I really expected to hear the Simple Minds come in and, don't you forget about me, hey, hey, when you walk on by. I mean, like, it was touching. It was a great issue. I felt so good after reading it, you know?
Yeah, man, me too. I mean, this was such a, this totally, what's the stupid internet meme now? This totally hits you in the feels. Now, as a quick aside, though, are you sure Northstar didn't act gay in this? I thought he was written pretty gay. I mean, even the fact that he could make fun of She-Hulk's ass is the kind of thing that only a gay guy could get away with, because it's like a sister-to-sister kind of thing, and, I mean, he literally uses the word fabulous.
Right. Yeah, I'm glad they kind of didn't say for sure, but the fact that they were all having, like, the picnic at the end and stuff, I felt that they ended up not getting deported, so that was cool. And, yeah.
I mean, no, I mean, that's one of those times where the story is told through the art. Like, they don't need to spell it out for you. No, he wasn't deported. You see them celebrating, and you know he wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's part of the beauty of this issue, is when you can just kind of, you know, read through it and actually look at just what's happening and be like, Oh, okay. I get it.
Yeah, they're having a party. They're like having a cake and stuff. Warbird's painting them and stuff. So everything just worked out. I'm sad to see this go. I mean, I'm really hoping that this amazing X-Men that's supposedly going to be taking its place just really takes its place and is a good book.
Well, I guess Amazing X-Men is going to start with them going through heaven and hell trying to bring Nightcrawler back to life. Which, I mean, kind of begs the question, if you can do that for Nightcrawler, why can't you do that for goddamn anyone? I mean, when the rules of heaven and hell are kind of tied to, like, sci-fi, real reality, it's like you could do that with anyone. I mean, we'll see what that comes to. But no, I mean, I get you, man. Like, it sucks that this comic is ending, and I don't see any reason for it to end. I mean, this is a comic I want. I mean, this is always like our stress relief comic. Like every week we talk about where it's like, yeah, there's so much epic action going on, and this and that, and you know, Marjorie Liu, the writer of this comic, always reminds us that the X-Men are people too, and you know, they can sit at a bar and talk about what it means to be an X-Men and what they would do if they quit, but realizing that if they quit, it would be like the worst thing for them ever. You know, this is all about them being people, and I like to be reminded of that on a monthly basis, and I hate the fact that this book is ending, man.
Yeah, if you're gonna end any of them, Marvel, why not Wolverine and the Archie's Club? I mean, Wolverine and the X-Men, or fucking Saved by the Wolverine, whatever the hell that book's called. That's the one that should go, man. Astonishing should live forever, man. At least until it really starts sucking. I mean, that title has never really gone downhill, in my opinion.
Especially when you're gonna put like these apparently important things in books that don't seem to matter. Like, I mean, like any of Wolverine's solo titles just don't seem to be as important because Wolverine is the headmaster of a school now. Like, Wolverine is like more tied to the X-Men than ever. So, like, you know, I look to books like Wolverine and the X-Men to think like this is where the important shit should be happening. But you know, that book is always kind of a cartoon and a joke.
Yeah, it really is. It's like the Archies. I really expect Quentin Quire to start wearing a crown like Jughead at some point because they draw him to look like that. And I mean, it should be better, man. And I really hate seeing Astonishing go. I mean, last issue, it was a great one. It was a nice, neat little cap for this awesome book. But why? God damn it.
I mean, out of all the series we've seen end so far, I mean, X Factor was a pretty big hit. You know, Gambit was kind of whatever, but I think this is the one that I'm like angriest to see go.
Well, X Factor ran its course. Peter David put his neat little bow on that title the way he wanted to, and he's bringing X Factor back with a new team in the near future. So, Astonishing is just gone, and like, I guess it didn't sell well or whatever, but Jesus, it was a great book, man. X-fans should have known better.
So do you want to go thumbs up or thumbs down, buy it or skip it?
Thumbs up. If you don't read Astonishing, this issue's not going to make any sense to you. But I would say get it if you read Astonishing. I mean, it's the end. Has a great cover. It look good on your wall. I mean, that cover's beautiful. So
I'm going to go thumbs up. Thumbs up for the beautiful painting-looking art style and for going out the way you lived. I'm also going to say buy it. But contrary to what you said, I think even if you never read a single issue of this series, you will totally feel what they're putting down here. And with that, we move into our previews. Coming up, we have A plus X number 13. So A plus X is going to start its first real arc with 6 issues focusing on Cyclops and Captain America. Is this a sign that they want to firmly establish Cyc and Cap as the true leaders of the X-Men and Avengers, respectively, or a sign that this gimmick is running out of steam?
I don't know. Either could be possible, but to tell you the truth, this is like the first AVX thing that I'm actually completely looking forward to. Like, I really want to see what they do. I don't know if it's going to establish them in that capacity. I just think it's going to be a nice little throwdown between the two of them and their morality at this point, because I mean, Scott ultimately, at the end of AVX and what he did, really drove home to Cap the point that, dude, he stands for America, and he forgot that mutants were Americans too, and he never actually raised a hand to help them. And it made him feel really bad, and that's why he's got the Uncanny Avengers, and that's why he's involving X-Men in the regular Avengers teams as well. And I really hope that this will lend more into that, and I really hope that it's well written and well drawn, unlike a lot of the other AVX stuff. So I kind of have high hopes that this might actually be like the first AVX thing that's actually like, you know, you got to go out and read it.
The solicits for this issue also promise that the second story, an Emma Frost Black Widow team-up, will be the sexiest story in A+X history. Really?
Ooh, yeah.
Really? Sexiest? I mean, well, we'll be the judges of that. If this issue doesn't earn at least the Sexiest Moments nomination next week, then I will never trust a solicit ever again.
Right? I mean, like, I want some primo art here, man. So, yeah, bring on the sexiness. I mean, and, like, you really are going to have to drop the ball and get somebody like, I don't know, somebody really horrible to actually draw Black Widow and the White Queen running around doing something and not have them be sexy. So, you know what I mean? I really don't see how they could fail this.
Cable and X-Force number 15 is our next book.
And we're going into the third arc of this book, so, I mean, I'm just really, whatever, bring it on. I've had a lot of fun with this book. It goes from being almost adult to almost kiddie, but it doesn't really bug me too much because, you know, it's X-Force, ultimately, so. And X-Force has always kind of had that stigma, except for maybe the Kyle and Craig series where, like, they were actually just running around butchering a bunch of, like, purifiers all the time. That book was pretty hardcore, but yeah, basically ever since Cable resurfaced, you know, I've kind of figured that X-Force was going to get back into the kind of silly realm again.
For me, it's just Cable and Hope. I mean, that's all I'm looking forward to. You know, like I said, you know, Cable finally has his brain all figured out. And that's what was in the solicits, too. They're like, okay, this big problem down. Like, that was the whole big point of the book when it first started, was, you know, Cable's brain and all those issues, and they figured this out. And now it's time to move forward and really establish what this book is going to be as we're moving into the second year of it.
Well, I mean, they're still going to be being chased by the Uncanny Avengers. I mean, like, hasn't been cleared up. They're still all wanted fugitives at this point, so there's going to be a bit of the original series still. But, yeah, the actual first, you know, baddies and stuff have been taken care of.
We also have Wolverine Max number 12.
Are you sure it isn't time for a colorful metaphor?
The tagline here is, "We'll read it so you don't have to."
Sadly, yes, we will.
The last issue was probably among the best of the series, which ain't saying much. So fingers crossed the series can pick up some steam.
Yeah, dude, like, if the only thing that has Max at the end of it at this point that I'm really, like, actually looking forward to is Phantom X Max. I mean, like, I can't wait for next month to read that issue. Wolverine Max, it's just going to be ugly art with some shit that we have already read before in the 80s.
So anyway, moving on to X-Men Legacy number 18. I think this is a really important issue. They're tackling some threads that they've been stringing along for a while. I mean, the fact that this very experimental series is still going at 18 issues is a testament to its creative team. But I think much like Cable and X-Force, we're getting to the crux of why this series exists. You know, we're really going back to its starting point. So it's either going to be I rule me or I rule the back issue bins, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think it's going to tie it together really nicely. Simon Spurrier, he's a great writer. I've been a fan of his for a long time, and I do not think that he's going to disappoint with this. I think that it's going to tie up very well. Now, if this book is ever going to become a hit, like a hit, I don't know, but it's got a great cult following, and that's all I kind of want for it, you know what I mean? I don't want this book to get too big because then it'll stop being all Vertigo with itself, so.
I agree. Let's move into the issue that will probably start next week's podcast, Uncanny X-Men number 13. It's getting a little hard to predict these issues, because no matter what you think of each series, the event totally hijacks each book it appears in, which is probably part of why it rules. After last issue, though, I'm just saying keep up the pace. I mean, am I right or am I right?
Am I right or am I right or am I right? Right.
I think you're right, but I also think that this is going to be a great issue for the Uncanny team. They're going to actually break in, and they're going to start being heroic in this. And with the art style that's in the Uncanny book, if they couldn't pick a better title to really start the fight, because it's just going to look so amazing. So I'm really looking forward to this issue next week.
Let me also throw down an honorable mention for Indestructible Hulk Special number 1. I mean, if we chase down the appearance of every mutant everywhere in every Marvel book, this would be a 4-hour show. But this does continue what I thought was a very interesting story involving the original X-Men, So I say keep an eye out.
Right on, yeah.
Alright, so let's do some fun segments to end the show tonight. Let's start with Spiking the Punch Bowl.
Oh, yeah!
Spiking the Punch is a segment where Johnny and I each recommend a non-X-Men related title, just to kind of spike things up. Johnny, do you want to lead us off?
Yeah, my spiking of the punch. Well, it was a really rough week. We had some great stuff. We had Rocket Girl from Image. We had Death Sentence from Titan Books, which I really loved. But I kind of had to pass on both of those for Coffin Hill by Vertigo Comics, which is just something that I've been waiting for Vertigo to get back into, and actually like an original new series from them that involves magic and sorcery and witchcraft and all that, because that is really what excels at that title. And this one is so neat and it's so well set up. It almost reminds me of a Black Magic version of that comic book Chambers that we covered a couple weeks ago. This book starts off, it's a young kind of, I don't know, cute goth girl police officer who bags a serial killer and kind of blows off her party for her caller. She goes home only to find her roommate is being assaulted by her druggy boyfriend and gets shot in the head. While she's incapacitated at the hospital, you catch her backstory. You end up finding out she's from Salem, Massachusetts, up there where the witch hunts happen, and she's from a very black magic family that rule a place called Coffin Hill. Well, her name's Eve Coffin as well, so Coffin Hill's kind of like named after her family that like runs the place. And in her teen years, she kind of was like a rambunctious little punk rocker, goth girl, and her and her friends kind of got into some goofy shit one Halloween night. Basically, in this issue, they don't show you what actually happened during the ritual, but one of their friends was completely taken by what are just known as the Dark Ones at this point, and whatever actually happened freaked her out enough that she left home, went to Boston, and became a rookie cop. So it was some serious shit. I really love the art in this issue. I love the tones and the ideals behind it, and this really just gets back to the core of what I loved about Vertigo Comics with books like Sandman and John Constantine the Hellblazer and Lucifer and stuff like that. And oh man, it's just good to see Vertigo get back into this flow of things again.
I thought this was an enjoyable read. I love the line about we're the Kennedys, but with more madness and murder.
Right? Yeah.
So you have this sense that the family is creepy and all fucked up, and they have some source of darkness that she wants to tap into. I mean, it makes it seem crazy that she becomes a cop, and a goddamn hero cop at that, but also a really bitchy, rebellious one. I hope we see more of that. What we don't have, though, is the full story of what happened that night in the woods, which she doesn't seem to even remember herself. I mean, I don't know, I'm torn. I was getting into the cop stuff early on, but I certainly won't complain about spending more time in the world of sexy goth girls and bloody nights in the forest. So either way, bring it on. I mean, we've got a fleshed out protagonist who feels like a real lived-in character here, so whatever path she goes on should be interesting if you're sold on who she is. Now, the author, Caitlin Kitteridge, I mean, she's got a real nice, like her list of sources or like her inspirations, like the books that she was into. I mean, she's into Sandman, Hellblazer, Preacher, 100 Bullets, The Losers, Book of Magic, Transmetropolitan, Fables. I mean, like, yeah, she's all about, Warren Ellis, Grant Morrison, Brian K. Vaughan, Azzarello, anything by Neil Gaiman. She burned through all his comics. I mean, this is just what I'm reading off her most recent blog post that she started to help promote this book. She's also a big fan of the X-Men and Captain America and anything Batman related. I mean, I think she was an author before she was a comic book author, but Vertigo Comics changed her life, and she's all about this, and I think that's just nothing but awesome.
Yeah, I mean, hell, me and her could probably hang out and exchange notes, because I've read almost all those Vertigo titles too. That's awesome.
Alright, so I'm going to say that's a pretty solid Spike the Punch. I'm going to go with sidekick number 3 from Image. This kind of falls under the umbrella of the non-traditional, or at least non-mainstream superhero story. All the typical superhero story rules are in place, they're just not enforced. The sidekick is a long-established superhero relationship, giving the hero essential backup or aid, and another point of view, and the sidekick receiving guidance from the wiser, older hero, hopefully learning from their experiences and mistakes. But what happens when that relationship is dysfunctional and the hero isn't all he's cracked up to be? Well, you get this comic.
You're right.
The sidekick, Flyboy, is left on his own without any of the resources or the respect that his hero, the Red Cowl, had. Not only does Flyboy feel responsible for Red Cowl's death, but the whole city sees him as a joke. It's almost uncomfortable to read how much shit he's given. I mean, this is the kind of guy. I mean, a woman can be on her knees giving him a blowjob and still be the one to belittle him. I recommend issue 3 because it's his biggest humiliation yet, and for the well-timed origin of the villains. If you're interested in the concept of a sidekick trying to become his own hero, then this issue is a fine one to start with.
And really, it's a solid choice. J. Michael Straczynski is awesome at doing these kind of books. Some of his Marvel stuff was okay, but this is even better than Rising Stars, which I thought was actually his best thing. And this is only 3 issues into it. I've been having a lot of fun. And then, yeah, the humiliation at the end of this book, you're just face-palming the whole time. Really, dude? How did you even confuse the two of these? One's red, one's blue, you idiot. But you know what I'm talking about. And it's so sadly hysterical, right?
Yeah, it is really sad. Yeah, it's kind of like, what if instead of Robin growing up to become Nightwing, Robin grew up to become Macaulay Culkin and became this tortured, weird, child star that grew up to have a fucked up life.
He grew up to be Macaulay Culkin. That's almost perfectly put. And I mean, yeah, he really is. He's just almost, I don't even know how to put it, man. He's just special, this hero.
Yeah, I mean
it'll be a great film, though. I mean, a really funny movie. I'd like to see the guy that did Kick-Ass 2 make it. That would be good.
I mean, this kind of book doesn't have the intensity of something like Jupiter's Legacy, but I mean, it's still just a boatload of what the fuck. It's a lot of fun, and I'm absolutely going to recommend it to any superhero fan.
Right. I couldn't agree more. It's another just prime example of how Image Comics is just on fire right now. Just putting out all the good shit. Whether it's Jupiter's Legacy, which is a bit in kin with this, or this book that's more laughable, but it's almost tragic. You almost feel bad for the guy. They are just an incredible label right now.
I do always want to end the show on an X-Men related note, which is why we're going to do Sex with a capital X, our sexiest moment of the week.
Oh my.
Johnny Alpha, do you want to lead us off?
I have one, and I have a runner-up. My sexiest moment is when Psylocke drops the 90-pound psychic mace on Ice Hulk while holding a baby. I found that very sexy, and her little clip was quite funny as well. And then my runner-up is, again, just Kitty Pryde in Ultimate X-Men. She just exudes sexiness. She's got the cute short little red hair, that white zip-up suit, and her just badass attitude. And man, if they actually made women like that in real life, it would just be so cool.
My sexy moment of the week. Okay, Spiral takes my runner-up. She gets the silver medal for her low-rise hip hugger pants. But Storm's cleavage takes the gold star. Thank you to Uncanny X-Force number 12 for being my sexiest pick of the week.
It's a pretty good pick, actually.
Thank you. And that concludes our podcast for the week, but we're sure as shit gonna do this again, so please continue to tune in.